right, this is Miss Litton, and this is a lunchtime review of Chapter 44, Population Ecology. Say hi.
Hi.
So good to see you. Use the ones that are back there that are already not out. Put that one back in, okay? Thank you. And make sure you guys, I have a test next class, so I don't need any Chromebooks out. So make sure you get them all in their dock. It's so cute. All right, Chapter 44. Let's talk big ticket items. Yes, you're going to need to bring a calculator because yes, you will have a question that you need, on your test, similar to the ones that you saw on your practice worksheets. Probably real straightforward. I would probably plan on knowing how to do one with carrying capacity, right? And we can talk about that if you want to talk about any of the ones on the worksheet. The whole thing was okay. Okay then. The whole thing was on population ecology. So I would be very comfortable with what the term ecology means and what the term population means so that you could, if I asked you that, you could tell me. I would be comfortable with, I would be comfortable with how you analyze populations. One, we talked about looking at population density, and that is just so easy. You just take how many organisms you have and get it down to the smallest factor, right? That whatever they give you. And then I would be familiar with the 3 distribution patterns and why you would have each of those distributions. Which ones have to do with high competition?
Clumped and regular.
Clumped and regular. Is that what you said? Yeah. What's another name for regular? Uniform. Good. And those both have high competition. Which one does the environment vary? Clumped. Good. Okay, and then random, your environment's pretty much the same, right? But then it doesn't matter where they are, so competition is probably pretty low. Okay, good, check, you understand that. Then the third part of it, we do need to understand the 2 rates of growth and what can impact those rates of growth. In order to understand that, you need to know about both biotic and abiotic factors. Abiotic factors tend to be things that would regulate what kind of growth curve. J-shaped, good. So generally abiotic is about J-shaped. What else? What's another name for it? Exponential, yeah. Would you say these organisms that are regulated in this way are J-shaped, J, or K selected?
R selected.
That's what I would say. I don't know what I'm saying, but yes, that's what I would say, R selected. Good. Would you say that these are colonizers or competitors?
Colonizers.
Yeah, I would call these guys colonizers. Good. Would you say that they are small or large?
Small.
I would say small. Do they have many young or few young?
Many.
Yeah, lots of babies. Do they care for their babies?
No.
No, not really. Okay. What kind of environment do they tend to have? Unstable. Good job. Okay. And then pretty much the opposite for biotic, right?
Yeah.
They tend to have a stable environment. They tend to be competitors. They tend to be large, few offspring, invest a lot of young, invest into their young. I'm not R selected, but K. They would be more of the equilibrium, right? Pattern instead of opportunistic pattern. We did that one. Large, care for their young, have few. Good. That, in a nutshell, is really the rest of the chapter, right? And then just being able to do the math surrounding those. So I'm going to skip, go right to, could these patterns that we looked at, could that change over the course of development for that organism? Yeah. Do you remember when we saw where it changed? Those bushes, exactly. That's how I want you to write it on the AP exam, too. Those desert shrubs, those bushes. That was great, I loved it. Okay, so that can change. Then we looked at things like the word biotic potential. So biotic potential is when you're maximizing your R, and that's going to vary per species, right? Also vary per living conditions that you have, because can the carrying capacity vary?
Yes.
Yeah, the carrying capacity can vary per the conditions. But then we put out, and you want to be familiar with this, is what it depends on. So do you remember some of the things that your biotic, my biology, life, potential, depended on? Tell me.
The rate of
How? Okay, when I first reproduce, or you, Oh, and there we go. Age of first reproduction. Good. What's another one?
If you live till the age of reproduction.
If you live until the age. Oh, I picked the right. Feeling really confident. Okay, what's another one? What?
It's a third one.
How does he know?
How do you know that? No, it's not. Ah, it would have been better. Okay, yeah. So when you start reproducing, how many offspring you have, how often you're going to repeat that process, and are you going to survive until age of reproduction? Those 4 factors are going to influence your biotic potential. Okay, we also talked about survivorship curves. And to discuss survivorship curves, you need to understand cohorts. So those are all the species, all the population, and what are the odds that they're going to survive and live out their lifetime. So there were 3 survivorship curves. See if you can imagine the 3 in your head. And while you're imagining those 3 survivorship curves, put on a picture of something that would fall under each one of those. An example. Have you got that in your head? Where do you always start when you're at the survivorship curve? Do you start in the bottom?
No, the top.
The top. So you're saying 1,000 individuals were born, right? And what's going to happen to those 1,000 individuals? Are most of them going to die? What kind is that? Type 3. What kind of organism is where most of them die?
Like insects.
Insects, invertebrates, what else? Plants, some plants, small, yes. Okay, and then when most of them live out their lifetime, what type is that?
Type 1.
Type 1. Who are type 1? Large mammals, humans, and then something else if you're type 2. Maybe you're a prey, a small prey or something like that, or a bird. That would be survivorship curve 2. So one thing that can be hard is keeping everything straight, right? So let's just keep a list of what we have so far, okay? So we have survivorship curves, curves. So we want to keep that straight. So if I was going to make a graph about that, I would do something like this. Okay. Then we had growth curves. And if I was going to do a graph for growth curves, do you have an idea for me? A J. Okay. And give me another one.
Yes. Which is logistical.
Okay. And what do we have right here?
The K.
K for carrying capacity. Good. And what's the red one?
Exponential.
Okay. Exponential. And what's the blue one?
Logistical.
Logistical. What do they have in common?
A lag.
Good. What else have we talked about so far? Distribution patterns, right? So for that, I'm thinking something like this. How could I give the different distribution patterns?
Uniform.
Uniform, and then what's another?
Random.
And which one is most common? Clumped. Good. What else have we learned?
Biotic potential.
Okay, biotic potential. Here, I want to do something else first. You know what I'm doing? Age structure. Do you remember those? Do you remember these? Okay. Where would you be most likely to find this age structure diagram? Less developed country, and this is a more developed country. And then what are these 3 designations? Pre, repro, and post. Good. And can you do transitions? Yeah. Remember we were talking about demographic transition, and here this population is going to keep getting larger and larger and larger. Okay. What else did we learn? We can talk about things that regulate this. We talked about abiotic and biotic, right? That was something we talked about here. Abiotic. I'm looking for something else, but abiotic would be, give me an example of abiotic.
Tornado.
Weather. Okay, a tornado. Okay, and then biotic. Give me something else. Pathogen. Disease, right? Okay, good. Something else I'm looking for, differentiation between. Density, what? Dependent and density independent. Okay, so density dependent factors, these are normally what kind of factors? Biotic, right? So these are normally your biotic factors that we listed up right here, right? That's why I wrote them in blue. And then density independent are usually what? Abiotic. That's pretty good. Yeah, did we hit everything on that? Okay, so then let's just talk some math. We understand carrying capacity, yes? Okay, so this, do you always take into consideration carrying capacity? No. Yeah, you don't talk about carrying capacity unless they gave you a carrying capacity, right?
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise then it's just up to this point. So if you can do this, you can do anything, right? So why don't we do one for practice?
Yes.
I'm just going to make it up, so I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Okay, let's do this one. Try to, you write the stuff down. Don't look at what I'm writing. See if you can write it down on a piece of paper or a pen. I'll give you it, but don't you write it down. But, I mean, you write it down, I'm not going to write it down. Gosh. What's happening? We're not really sure what's happening, actually. Here is a population of frogs. There are 57 frogs in our pond. Don't say it out loud, okay? Peeps need to work it out. 57 frogs in our pond. Our carrying capacity is 68 frogs. And my birth rate is 0.3 and my death rate is 0.5. How many frogs will I have next year? How many frogs will I have next year? And then I'm going to just pause this while we work it out. Remind me to restart. Okay, before I even go over it, look at me. Flash me with your hands. Use one hand to flash me your 2 digits. Use one hand to flash it. And that's what I got too. Okay. Good job. All right, so let's repeat. I said in this population there were 57 frogs. So what did I just give you there?
You gave us the N.
N. That's right. I gave you N equals 57. What's the next thing I told you?
K.
K, because I said the carrying capacity is 68. Okay, good job. Okay, then what did I give you?
You gave us the birth rate and death rate, which
Birth rate is what?
0.3. And death rate is 0.5.
Okay, and then we know to calculate R that R is equal to B minus D, yes?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to work this out, I'm going to say birth 0.3 minus 0.5, yes?
Yeah.
Times N, what's N? 57, and then I'm going to do carrying capacity of 68 minus 57 over 68. So you would solve all of that, right? Solve this, multiply those 3 together, and what did you get?
Negative 1.8.
Negative 1.8, which you would round to what?
2.
Negative 2. So that means right now my current population is 57, but next year my population is 55. You feel good about that?
Yep.
It's not going to be any harder than that. At least on your quiz. Yes?
So should we always round before we subtract it from the end?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, reasonable. Yes.
Just to make sure we have the formula on the
Yes, you always have the formula. You always have the formula.
Is there a possibility that you will ask us on the quiz?
I can't hear because of the rude children. Go
What
ahead.
will the population be in 2 years or 3 years?
Yes. So let's do it again. Let's see what our population will be next year. Figure it out. I'm going to pause it. Wait, what was your question?
So if it's, let's it's at negative 1.5. Since it's,
I would work it out till you wouldn't be like,
since it's like half, since it would be like half a person, why would you round up instead of rounding down?
well, 1.8 I'm pretty close to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just estimating.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I restarted.
Is it 2 years or the year after this?
The year after this.
Oh.
The year after this. Okay, are we ready for year 2?
Yes.
Okay, so if we're gonna do this in year 2, our n now is what? 55, because year 1 we lost 2, right? So we have a new n. Is our r still the same?
Yes.
Yeah, didn't change that, it's still minus 0.2. Is our k still the same?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still 68. So now I'm going to do my change in my population over time is equal to 0.2 negative times 55 times 68 minus 55 over 68. And what did you get?
Negative 2.1.
Negative 2.1, which would be what? Just negative 2. So now our population the next year would be what? 53. See how we did that? Okay, good job, good job. Okay, now, single page. Let's see. We're comfortable that both graphs, what do they have in common? They both have a? And they both have? Exponential. But then the J-shaped growth, the logistic growth curve starts slowing down, usually due to what?
During the K class.
Yes, but due to what? Density, it's right here. Density dependent environmental resistance. Right? Yeah. Okay. Good, good, good. We talked about examples. I think you know all of that. We talked about R selected. You feel good about that, right? We talked about that. And K selected. Okay, then we already did age structure diagrams. I feel good about that. Oh, who uses most of the resources? More developed countries. Who creates the most waste? We do. Yay. Okay. Seems pretty easy peasy lemon squeezy. Don't eat food that is too greasy.
Otherwise, it'll make you crazy.
That's crazy. And not the kind that makes you sneezy. I'll keep the quiz light and breezy. Anything else? For you, yeah. All right, are we good? Yes. Oh, yeah. We can just hear Hello Smart. Is this Hello Smart?
No, never mind.
Christian doesn't like.
Let us, what you had for lunch today?
Oh, what I had?
What you had for lunch today? I'm going to pause this. Check it out.
Yay!
Yay on that.
What do you see?
Yay. Oh. All right. I think these are the practice problems we already did in class. You probably already have those.
Way down there. Show Christian the other thing.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Ready? Here we go. Type 3, plant species. The big operative word here is most seedlings die. Okay, so that would be type 3. Yeah, we did this one in class. Okay, review, do your practice problems. Okay, you're super smart.
It's not an elephant.